What's up, you guys, and Happy New Year. I hope you all had a really fun New Year's Eve. For this week's video, instead of going out and buying a bunch of new stuff like I usually do, I wanted to reflect on my year of purchases and show you guys what I think were the best pieces that I picked up this year. To me, the best pieces are not always the most worn pieces in my wardrobe, but definitely the ones that bring me the most joy and excitement, the things that I really look forward to wearing. Most of these will be familiar to you if you've watched any of my videos, but there may be a few surprises in there. 2019 was the first year for me in which I didn't buy any new clothing. I only bought secondhand, with the exception of a couple of sustainable purchases. Honestly, I have no desire to go back to buying things from traditional retailers, even though this was kind of an experiment to see what it would be like to not buy new for a whole year. I find that I've totally lost interest in buying things from traditional stores. I think that's because a lot of what you find at thrift stores is more unique and higher quality for what you're paying. As usual, I'm going to talk about each of the items, but I also styled them into outfits. This time I tried taking away my backdrop because for once the sun is out and my apartment's not a total mess. But anyway, let's get into the outfits. So my first favorite secondhand purchase of 2019 is this chartreuse jumpsuit that I got at a Woke Vintage. The first time I saw this jumpsuit, I fell in love with it, but it was a little bit too pricey for me to justify buying. But it was one of those cases where as soon as I walked away, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Luckily, I went back about 2 weeks later and it was still there, so I knew I had to get it. This chartreuse color was so popular for 2019 that it felt like a really standout piece for the year for me. And it's also one of the most flattering silhouettes on any piece of clothing that I have. It's super well made, super high quality, and such a statement that I don't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon. To style the jumpsuit, I just threw on my favorite gold jewelry from Majuri, and then this pair of green square-toed boots that I got on Depop. I want to throw an honorable mention to these boots because I feel like they're super trendy for 2019 in terms of the square toe silhouette and the pistachio green color. I just wouldn't say that they were one of my favorite purchases of 2019 because I don't tend to gravitate towards them. I feel like the color, while beautiful, doesn't really go with a lot of things in my wardrobe, but I love them nevertheless. My next favorite piece of 2019 is this wide leg suede pair of animal print pants. All of the pieces in this outfit are favorites for 2019, but that's the piece that I chose to focus on here. Now, I know animal print has been on its way out for a while, but I feel like there's something classic about this pair of pants for some reason. Maybe because the background isn't as bright and tan colored as some other leopard prints. It feels a little more classic and a little more muted. Plus, the silhouette is so trendy for 2019 and 2020 that I think it prevents them from looking dated too soon. They are genuine suede, so they're very heavy and also very high quality. For the rest of the outfit, I threw on my purple padded shoulder Gucci sweater, which honestly should be one of my favorites of 2019, but since I recently thrifted it, I'm hesitant to call it that yet. Then I have my 80s belt with this crazy intricate buckle that again has been one of my most worn pieces of 2019. All three of these came from the Beacon's Closet in Greenpoint, which is probably my favorite place to thrift for things for myself, just because it's a little on the pricier side, so it's harder to flip things on Depop from there. And then to finish off the look, I have a piece that's not necessarily a thrift find, but a sample sale purchase. It's these gold Rachel Comey block heel shoes that are kind of worn out by now. But anyway, if I had to put my 2019 style into one look, it would probably be this. Lots of gold accessories, super wide leg pants, and something with shoulder pads. Next, I have this black suede strapless dress from the 80s that I got at a Woke Vintage. Again, since I just got this piece, I was hesitant to put it in my favorites for 2019, but I wanted to include a dress, and I didn't really thrift any other dresses that I love, so this is definitely my favorite. As I said in my last video, I threw a 1920s themed party, and I was looking for something more flapper-esque, more beaded, but this is what I ended up finding to wear. And honestly, I'm glad that I went with something more my style. This is such a flattering cut. It really exaggerates the hips and cinches in the waist, and it feels like a timeless enough silhouette that I could get wear out of it for multiple years. I finished off that look with another one of my recent favorites, which is this beaded pair of pumps that my mom got from Depop for me for Christmas. This is another piece that I know I haven't had very long, but I can already tell is an instant favorite in my wardrobe. Especially once it gets a bit warmer here in New York, I am going to wear these with pretty much everything. Next up, I have another pair of wide leg pants, these cropped khaki tibby trousers. Aside from the fact that these are really flattering and really on trend, I put these in my favorites because they were a great steal for a designer piece. I would highly recommend going to Beacon's Closet if you're interested in finding designer items for less than $100, because these tibby pants would have been several hundred originally, and I picked them up for $40. Tibby is definitely one of my favorite designers. I actually got to go backstage at their show this summer when I was working at Covetor. So the fact that I stumbled upon these at a Beacon's Closet shortly after I went to the show just felt like a really neat coincidence. Here I styled them with this amazing vintage magenta top that I got at Iguana Vintage in Sherman Oaks, California. And once again, I threw on my beaded pumps. I also think this pink top is one of my 2019 favorites, but I haven't actually worn it that many times. I think it's really beautiful, but I got it a bit too late in the year to wear it much outside of my apartment, so I'm going to be saving it for spring/summer 2020. Moving on, I'm sure you guys predicted that this next piece would be one of my favorites. It's this amazing shoulder padded suede and leather Western jacket that I also got while I was in LA at a store called Wasteland. I love this jacket because it's so unique. It's so 1980s and thus on trend for 2019 and 2020. Again, something that I thrifted a little too late in the year to get a lot of wear out of it here in New York, but I'm certainly going to be wearing it as things warm up here and we transition into spring. I paired it with these super high-waisted 70s trousers that I got from Awoke Vintage for $20. These are another one of my favorites just because they're so flattering. To finish the look, I put on another recent favorite, which is these chunky wingtip Doc Martens. I figured because they have this same sort of black and white organic geometric pattern that they would look really great with that jacket. And I think I was right. I mean, yes, it kind of looks like a clown costume, but just wear what you want and don't care what people think about it. This next outfit also features a lot of my favorites, but I'd say the best piece is probably these white Ferragamo pumps that you guys have seen so many times. Again, these are a favorite because of their value and also their versatility. I've mostly been wearing them indoors in videos, but they go with so much and they add this extra 80s oomph to pretty much anything that I wear. Plus, they were originally around $700 and I got them for $20 at Goodwill. For this look, I threw on my checkered trousers that I got at Beacon's Closet that I showed you guys in a recent video. They are a little bit tight on my legs, but I've been wearing them regardless. And I've yet to totally lose circulation in my feet. But anyway, on top of that, I put on my chunky 80s Theory belt, which is another awesome designer purchase that I got at Housing Works. And then I put on this amazing silk puff sleeve blouse from Flamingo's Vintage in the Lower East Side. This outfit definitely encapsulates that 80s housewife vibe that I go for sometimes, and I think I will continue wearing into spring 2020. The last outfit features 3 pieces that are not only my all-time favorites, but also my most worn. As exciting as all these other bright, colorful, patterned pieces are, they tend to feel stale a little faster the more that you wear them when compared to something like this. First up is my ultimate favorite thrift find for 2019, and that's these black pointed toe ankle boots that were originally from Stuart Weitzman that I got at Housing Works. These are just stunningly beautiful. The silhouette is so flattering. As one of my friends said, they make your feet look like needles. They've got this gorgeous croc leather, which has really held up over the years, and this very trendy little kitten heel. You would think that I wouldn't be able to wear those a lot walking around New York City, but I actually have. I went to LA recently, and that was the only pair of shoes I wore for the entire trip. I think a black pointed toe ankle boot is probably the one defining piece in my style that has endured over the years. I'm about to turn 24 in January, and I've been wearing a similar style of shoe almost every day of my life since I was 16. This pair is just the most recent incarnation of the same idea. The next best piece in this outfit is definitely the acid wash pleated 80s jeans that I got at L Train Vintage. Now, before I found these jeans, I would have told you that I'm not a jeans person at all, mostly because contemporary jeans don't tend to fit me unless they're super stretchy. But for some reason, the way that jeans were made in the 1980s just really accommodates that kind of silhouette. These are just my personal favorite because they're the most flattering and the most trendy out of any of the styles I found. I think because they don't have any back pocket jackets. They look really flattering from behind. And I've definitely been seeing a resurgence of this pleated style of jean on my Instagram and YouTube. And lastly, to finish off this look, I threw on my cropped leather jacket, also from L Train Vintage, that is also from the 1980s. A leather jacket is another thing that has been a staple in my wardrobe for years and years and years, but I've recently strayed away from the more boxy, classic moto style. I feel like they tend to be a little overdone, especially on women, because they're kind of the staple of the neutral tone, minimalistic Instagram feed that we've been seeing for years. And I don't think that if you're a curvier shaped person like me, that they're all that flattering, which is why I was so excited to find this piece. Again, in the 80s, since a lot of clothes were more fitted to an hourglass shape, I feel like the jackets were much more flattering. They were very cinched in the waist, like this one, which has a belt you can adjust. They were a little bit more cropped so you could see the top of your pants, and they tended to have more voluminous, structured shoulders. Like I've said plenty of times before, I feel like a huge shoulder with a cinched waist just exaggerates that hourglass silhouette and looks really flattering if you want your waist to look smaller. This one is in amazing condition and was a pretty great deal at $40 for a vintage leather jacket. I've seen them upcharged to $200, $300, even $500 in some other vintage stores. So if you're ever in New York, definitely check out L Train Vintage, No Relation Vintage, and Urban Jungle, all the same company, if you want to find a really nice leather jacket that's a little bit more unique. All right, you guys, that is it for my 2019 thrift favorites. I definitely have some other pieces that I kind of wish I included, but I wanted to cap it at 7 outfits as I usually do, because if I kept going, I'd probably just show you everything in my closet. If you're interested in purchasing some of my thrift favorites that didn't make the cut, for me personally, check out my Depop, which is just Haley in the Details. There I sell any of my thrift finds that don't fit me, aren't quite right for my wardrobe, or I don't find myself wearing anymore, but I can still definitely say that I love all the pieces on there. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you want to see any more looks that I'm styling throughout the week. It's just Haley Walker _. Thank you guys so much for all the support in the last year. 2019 was definitely one of my favorite years just because it's the year I finally decided to do this. Don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything else you want to see. Just DM me on Instagram, comment something down below. All right, you guys, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.